to reintroduce myself for all the new people that is following me that don't know. I am a 19-year-old teen mom of two to a 2-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl. I had my first kid at 16. Well, I got pregnant with him at 15. I had him at 16. Got pregnant with my daughter on my 17th birthday and had her at 7. Yes, I was on birth control with my daughter, but my baby daddy said that he planned Ramon. So, yeah. Now, 19, pregnant with my third and last kid. I kid y'all not. This is my last kid. Now, how many times y'all be like, oh, that's not your last kid? Y'all don't know my body. I know my body, and I'm physically telling y'all that this is my last kid. Tubes will be tied. And then I'd be like, oh, I didn't want another kid. And y'all be like, oh, you didn't do nothing to prevent it. I actually did. But shit happens, so this baby's gonna be here February 1st, so buckle up. If you want to be a part of the family and be a supporter, not a hater, just follow and interact with this video. I'm trying to do post ideas because, like, I'm trying to save up for a car. Like, I'm gonna teach myself how to drive. I am 12 weeks in 1 day. Today is July 21st, so I am 12 weeks in 1 day. I do have two different baby daddies, yes. My first two, Clarissa and Ramon, is my first baby daddy's kids. And this baby is my second baby daddy kid. I'm gonna answer some birth experience questions. Yes, I pushed out my son. My canal is too small. I will not be able to push out this baby. I was not able to push out Ramon, and I did not push out Clarissa. I had a C-section with Clarissa, and I would be having a C-section with this baby.
So I want to start this video by saying that I have nothing but love and respect for young mothers. Nothing but love. You know, my own mother had me when she was only 17 years old. She got pregnant with me at 16. I watched that woman fight her way through life. You know, she didn't make excuses. She worked hard. She sacrificed. She eventually became an RN. Built herself a great career. Not to say life was easy, you know, it really wasn't at all. I had a hard childhood and there was a lot of struggle, but my mom did what she had to do to be where she is today. So when I speak on this, understand something. I respect women who step up for their children. But with that being said, I also believe we have to tell the truth. And the truth is this: somewhere along the way, we've gotten comfortable celebrating situations that we should be praying people don't repeat. Here's what caught my attention. You know, this young lady is 19 years old, right? Pregnant with her third child by a second father. And she's online giving advice. You know, that right there is where I hit the brakes. You know, not because she's a bad person, not at all. You know, not because she can't love her children, you know, but because at 19 years old with 3 kids, your greatest assignment right now is becoming a social media mentor. You know, it's not that. It's becoming the best mother you could possibly be. That should be the focus and only the focus. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is knowing when it's time to learn instead of teach. See, everybody wants to be an influencer now, you know, do videos, tell people things and everything like that. Everybody got advice. Everybody got a microphone in their hand. Everybody is an expert. You know, you scroll for 5 minutes and somehow you've got a financial advisor, you know, a relationship coach, a therapist, you know, a nutritionist and a life coach all before breakfast. Slow down. Sometimes the greatest investment you can make isn't buying diapers on sale. You know, it's investing in your own growth. And another thing she said caught my attention. She said, this baby is my last baby. Now, and I'm going to be easy with this. You know, I understand what she's trying to say. But as a Christian, I have to look at that differently. I don't speak in absolutes about tomorrow because tomorrow belongs to God. Period. So we got to watch that. James 4:13-15 said, tell us not to boast about what we're going to do tomorrow. Instead, it says we should say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. That's how I try to live my life. I don't say I'm never or I will definitely. I say Lord willing, because God has the final say, not us, not you, not me. Every plan I make begins and ends with him. So instead of saying, I'm never having another child, I'd rather hear somebody say, if God allows it, I don't plan on having any more children. See the difference? It's a big difference. One leaves room for God's authority. The other puts us in control of tomorrow. And none of us are in control of tomorrow. Now, let me go a little deeper. I think we've reached a dangerous place in this generation where people confuse surviving with qualifying. Just because you've been through something in your life doesn't automatically mean you're ready to teach everybody else about it. You're not in that place yet. You got time to grow. Relax. Experience matters, but wisdom takes time. There's a difference. At 19 years old, life has barely started, man. You're still learning who you are. You don't even know that yet. You're still learning relationships. You haven't got a grip on that yet. You're still learning parenting. You're in the beginning of that. You're still learning money. You're still learning yourself. Why are we in such a rush to become teachers, man? Can we normalize saying, I'm still trying to figure it out? Because that's okay. And let me throw a little something here. Social media will have somebody with 3 kids at 19 giving parenting advice to be somebody who's been married 25 years. That's like me getting one haircut and opening up a barber school. Like, come on now. Don't make no sense. Sometimes we just have to laugh at ourselves, man. And it's us, man. Out here in the US, everybody doesn't need a platform today. Sometimes you need a prayer, man. You need a prayer closet. Sometimes you need mentors. Sometimes you need older people speaking into your life instead of followers listening to your life, man. Like, come on. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. Notice it doesn't say an abundance of followers. It says counselors. Wise people, godly people, experienced people. That's what this young lady needs around her. Not just likes, not just views. She needs a strong church family. She needs older women around her who love God and have raised children to pour into her life. She needs people who are going to help her become everything God created her to be. And let me say something to the young ladies watching this. Please don't hear me criticizing motherhood, please. Motherhood is one of the greatest callings God ever created. Children are a blessing from the Lord. Psalms 127 says exactly that. But blessings also come with responsibility. We should never encourage young women to rush into adulthood before they're ready. Never. There is nothing wrong with taking your time. There's nothing wrong, with building your relationship with God first. There's nothing wrong with getting emotionally mature first. There is nothing wrong with learning financial discipline first. There is absolutely nothing wrong with preparing before multiplying. That's wisdom. And here's probably the most important thing I'm going to say in this whole entire video. Your greatest testimony 5 years from now won't be how much money you saved on diapers. It'll be who you became as a woman of God. That's the story I want to hear. I want to hear about your spiritual growth. I want to hear about your children thriving. I want to hear about your family finding peace. I want to hear about your faith getting stronger, because social media will clap for your shopping tips, apartment tips today and forget you tomorrow. But if you build your house on Christ, that'll bless your children for generations. Matthew 7 says, the wise man built his house on the rock. The storm still came, but the house stood because the foundation was right. Thank you, Jesus. That's what I encourage this young lady to focus on. Build your foundation. Build your relationship with God. Build your home. Build your children. Build your future. The advice can wait. Right now, your greatest ministry is in TikTok. It's those 3 little lives that God has entrusted you with. Pour everything you got into them. I truly wish this young lady nothing but success. I hope she becomes an incredible mother. I hope God blesses her family. I hope she grows into an amazing woman of faith. But if she asks me for advice today, I would simply tell her this. Get off the stage for a little while and get into God's presence. Let him develop you before you try developing everybody else. Because when God finishes his work in your life, your testimony will be worth far more than any advice you could give at 19 years old. So maybe take a break from social media. Take a step back from it. And give everything you got to God and those 3 children. And I'm going to leave it there. God bless you all. Until next time, it's your boy Paul P. Doses.